Mr. Walker! Mr. Walker! Are you in there? Mr. Walker, open up, it's the police! Mr. Walker, open up, otherwise we're going to have to use forceful action.
Here we explore sound in a way to heighten the intensity and suspense of our opening sequence. We hear sounds of the police knocking on Rob's door and the sound of a gunshot, which are all diegetic sounds that link to the crime drama / thriller genre, as they provoke images of violence and disequilibrium. The voice of the policeman outside Rob's house is loud with a low pitch, showing that the matter is serious and that Rob is in legal trouble. All of these sounds conform to what an audience would expect to hear in this genre of film, as films such as Goodfellas use loud, sharp sounds such as banging and gunshots in their opening sequence. This ringing sound continues for a while, and its purpose is to make the audience feel uncomfortable and to make them empathise with Rob as they begin to put themselves in his shoes, as we know this is the sound he is hearing from the shaky, handheld camera close-up of his face, as this makes it appear as if we are intimately engaging with him. This sound is heard a lot after explosions in movies, so this will help the audience to understand that Rob is in a state of confusion and stress, another trait of crime drama / thriller films. I learnt while studying other opening sequences of this genre that simple sounds just as this can impact the audience a lot, so that they remember this sequence like we all remember great opening sequences of films we love. We can see here that Rob is in a bedroom. It doesn't particularly have any materialistic items in it or anything that catches our attention, which was the exact point we were trying to make. We wanted to subvert from any stereotypical, glamorous gangster lifestyle and show the harsh reality of someone's mistakes in this line of business. The off-white colour of the pillows and bed sheets helps the audience to see that Rob does not take care in his home or its appearance, mirrored in his own appearance in this close-up, also subverting the idea that gangsters always look well groomed in their suits and jewellery. While studying how gangsters ideologically dress, I wanted to create the complete opposite of this in costuming, while nodding towards Rob's former glory. If you look at the shirt Rob is wearing, it looks quite fancy with blue and white pinstripes across it, but the fact he is dazedly waking up in it confuses the audience to where he's been, so I learnt how much costume can contribute to the characterisation of Rob. As Rob reaches for his wife in the other side of the bed to find she's not there, it reveals a lot about Rob's character and who he is. We know he must be a family man if he is married, and this is proven in his wedding ring that we have a close-up of later on. But the fear on his face as his eyes narrow and he frowns illustrates that he knows he's done something to her, depicting that he is violent but cannot remember what's happened. This adds an element of danger to his character, and the audience cannot predict what he'll do next, which sets up a vibe throughout the opening sequence that will put our audience on edge. The narrative is still unclear at this point, and this is encapsulated through the constant changing of frame and composition, as we don't want the audience to see it as well constructed, peaceful shots, as it should feel unplanned and new. This conforms to the drug addict side of gangsters, and that they wake up some mornings not knowing what's happened or what they did the night before. But this also subverts the stereotype of a middle-aged married man, as if Rob was in a serious relationship. He wouldn't go off the rails like this, which adds a lot of layers into Rob's character subtext and makes the audience question whether he is good or bad. The fact that Rob is carrying out a daily routine after understanding something serious has gone on adds a sadistic quality to his character and proves to the audience that he may be mentally unstable because of his lifestyle choices. The shaver can be used as a weapon, so by seeing him place it on the sink and then stare at himself in the mirror after, we wonder if he's going to commit a crime on his body or someone else. As we watch a tear fall from Rob's eyes, the colour grading of the whole opening sequence becomes even more dominant as the colour of the background and surroundings heightens the sadness as the blue tone of the frame subconsciously suppresses any positive feelings. The way we've just seen Rob shave so persistently and carefully makes the audience feel uncomfortable, as he could easily cut his throat, and this will be what an audience expects to see, as blood and guts are what we normally see in this genre of film. As he continues to shave and wash his hair down the drain, the audience will feel relaxed but unsure of what is happening, subverting to Rob being an ideological character and trying to figure out what has happened and make it right. Instead, he is being weak and hiding from his problems. This fights the typical hegemony of a middle-aged white man persona, as people shouldn't aspire to follow in his footsteps, as we know he destroys the people and things around him. Yes, gangsters are viewed as destructive, but family are one thing that they place above everyone else and never harm, therefore stripping Rob of his morals. Using gradually increasing fast cuts in the shaving sequence builds tension and enigma, as we know Rob's pressure of what has happened is building, and we can see his precision of shaving becomes frantic, and he isn't being careful with the shaver anymore, and this could act as a metaphor for what happens to Rob in his day-to-day life. He's becoming uncaring in his actions towards others. The sound of the shaver in reference to distance and sound, relative to Rob, also aids in building the suspense, as we are hearing a diegetic sound, and as the sound changes in volume based on the kind of camera angles taking place. For example, low-angle shots when filming Rob's neck, and high-angle shots when looking at the hair and water in the sink, shows the difference between Rob looking down on the sink, conforming to the powerful gangster archetype in hegemony. But when putting this into context, if Rob has only power over what he's doing in the moment, this creates the suspense of his carelessness and what will happen in the future. I also learnt that less is more with sound. While considering what musical score to add to our opening sequence, we found that all the genres we listened to we weren't 100% happy with. The romantic music was either too jolly or depressing, or the alternative rock music was too pivotal, and we didn't want to take away from the low-concept storyline and character. In the end, we decided to create a soundboard instead, as we believed this would distract audiences and they could understand a lot of what was going on in Rob's subtext and past without having to be told it verbally or shown it visually.